Imagine if your house caught fire and your father left, leaving you alone, wandering around, fulfilling your needs, eating scraps. Then suddenly, you end up living in a girl's dormitory, where the boys take advantage of you in every possible way. Now let's switch to a manga with fairness and introduce a boy named Koushi Nagumo, who has just lost his house in a fire. Instead of taking responsibility, his father fled to the city, and he became a lone wolf, wandering the street. He was practically dying in the gutter, and while people talked about him, they avoided helping him, leaving him starving. Then a girl appears and tells him that searching for food is a dangerous game. The boy asks what he wants to eat, and due to his privileged view, he answers that he wants pantheons. In the next scenes, he's already eating noodles, seeing they taste really good. The boy is happy to hear that and mentions they're out of panties at the moment. She tells him he's dirty and to feel free to take a bath. When the girl playfully likes his cheek, he gets embarrassed and rushes to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Coach is confused by what's happening and where he is. After understanding and entering the bath, he's shocked by the revealing sight and ends up fleeing. At that moment, a girl named Azuma arrives at the house, asking who was in the bathroom. Suddenly, the boy comes out without clothes and accidentally falls on top of her, causing her to spill tomato sauce. This reveals the name of the place, the goddess and dormitory of the women's university. The girl with the green hair is named Mineru, and the rest of the girls introduce themselves. The protagonist seems to have had some unfortunate events, being broke, hungry, and homeless. She invites him to become the dorm master, offering everything he needs in exchange for his work. Without thinking much about it, he accepts the proposal. However, there's one problem. He needs to convince Atena to accept him, which seems to be quite difficult. Coach asks Mineru what Atena issues is, and she explains that Atena recently came to the dormitory. She had a sheltered childhood and only attended all girls' schools. In her previous dorm, the girls used it to bring their boyfriends over, and she even caught her roommate having fun with a boy. Because of that experience, she feels uncomfortable around men. Couch decides to find Atena, and when he does, she runs away. Eventually, they talk, and he convinces her to come back to the dormitory. However, on the way home, Atena starts speaking about what the other girl said, and she goes after Coach. When she wakes up, he's being carried by her. They end up in the wrong room, causing Atena to have a nosebleed again. Coach carries her back to her room, and the work in the dormitory begins. When he goes to clean the second floor, where the rooms are, he finds Athena's room in a mess, but decides to go Mineru's room first. When he rings the doorbell, an alarm goes off, scaring him. The girl was revealing certain parts of herself, leaving him embarrassed. Then he gets exhausted and lies on the floor. A door opens, and he pulls inside. A girl dresses him up, and she seems to be obsessed with cosplay. Whenever she thinks a costume will looking good on someone, she takes off their clothes and puts a new outfit on them. However, she stops, and the two of them talk. Coach tells her to go back to the dormitory and hell sleep on the street. But on the way home, Athena starts speaking about what the other girl said, and that makes her go after the protagonist. When she finds him, he is already asleep, so she carries him until he wakes up, being carried by her. However, he confuses the place and ends up taking her place. Athena has a nosebleed again, and Coach carries her back home. Then he starts working, and when he goes to clean the second floor, where the rooms are, it looks like a dump. He starts with Athena's room, which is cleaner, then goes to Wachi's room and rings the doorbell. But suddenly, an alarm goes off, scaring him, because the girl was showing certain parts. Already tired, he lies on the floor, and door opens, and he's pulled inside. A girl dresses him up, and she seems to be crazy about cosplay. She takes off someone's clothes and dresses them up in a new outfit. Whenever she thinks costume will look good on this person, then Frey asks him for a favor, hands him a tape measure, and asks him to measure her. She ends up taking off her clothes, and embarrassed, he runs away while still holding the tape measure, which was tied to the girl, and pulls her along. She falls on top of him, and he's squished between the two. Suddenly, Axie arrives in the room and tells them to evacuate because one of the experiments has gone wrong. Coach scolds Frey from her actions and what she said, and he feels embarrassed and runs away. Later, people on the street start taking photos of him in that outfit back home again. Athena says that things can continue like this, hitting at what happened. She says it's not appropriate for girls to roam around the dorm without clothes, especially now that Coach is living there. She states that from now on, she'll crop the brutal behavior. One night, Coach is lying down to sleep, and suddenly, a girl named Kiriya breaks through the ceiling of his room. He tries to help her, but she falls on top of him, and they start talking. Coach asks what happened, and she says it's a long story, starting to tell her story while looking at the magazine. But she has some left though, gets embarrassed, and punches the wall. Then she asks him to let her sleep in his room, and Coach asks if it's okay for her to sleep with a boy. She says it's not a problem, and that she is used to it because of her brothers. When it's time to sleep, she asks if they can talk, and suddenly she clings to his arm, pulling him closer, saying she used it to train with her brothers, like that all the time. And after blushing, Koji goes to another room. She starts thinking about what Kuyera said and feels embarrassed. Back in his room, another girl named Serena comes to talk to him. She tells him that she can fix the floor using lunar technology, and Coach agrees with her. The girl gives him a kiss. You are taking advantage. The next day, the ceiling and the wall are brand new, and Coach is not understanding anything. While he's preparing breakfast, Atena comes to the kitchen, trying to hide something, but is noticeable. Excellent arrives in the kitchen, eats a bit of the soup, and says it's tasty, even licking her leg. This reminds Coach of the kiss. After breakfast, the girls start calling Coach to help them with some things, and Atena becomes worried about it. She starts asking when Coach becomes so close to them. Today she stopped making dinner, and they needed to go to the supermarket to shop. Atena insists on going along, a messed up piggy bank. On the way to the store, Atena uses nose plugs and a mask to prevent nosebleeds. She gets scared when she sees two boys, clings to Coach, and her nose starts bleeding even with the mask on. They do the shopping, and Coach praises Atena for facing her fears instead of running away like most people will. She admits that what impressed the other girls, but she finds it indecent and immoral. She runs off but collides with two boys, losing her nose plug. Coach helps her, and they go to a cyber cafe. Coach asks why she's angry, and she clarifies that it's not because she carried her, it's because she wants to be called Big Sister by him. He starts calling her different name, and she's happy with it because her nose doesn't bleed when he touches her. She thanks him for protecting those boys and asks him to consider her as his older sister. Later, at home, she pulls him to sit on her lap and finger a bit tense. The next day, Coach is doing laundry, and Excellent comes to him, asking him to wash her clothes too. But the next morning, when Coach goes to call them for breakfast, Atena asks him to call her big sister, and another girl comes in, hugs him, and says something. Atena warns that trying to seduce Coach is considered immoral behavior. After breakfast, they start a competition about the big sister topic, and the first girl gives some name options for Coach to call her, but he complains about the outfit she's wearing, and she gets disqualified. The Excellent says she'll start by having Coach try a new mic, as younger siblings are the genius pick, and she also gets disqualified. The girl starts training with a prophecies in certain position, like the last girl has done with Silver Arrow. However, he ends up pulling her blouse, revealing her melons. As usual, she squirts sauce on Coach's face. After Coach cleans up, she comments that it wasn't so bad and tells him he can return to school now. She and Frey manage to fix things, and she thanks them. At school, Excellent is happy to have her own Shulooker, but suddenly a girl comes running and kicks him with a flying kick. The girl is his childhood friend named Kiriya Senshou, who stands close to him and wonders why she did it again. Instead of expressing her concern like a normal person, she helps him that away. After class, the teacher comes to talk to Coach, saying it must have been tough for him with what happened to his relative. That was the excuse they give for him to return to school. Today, he goes after Kiriya and accidentally touches her, making her run away from him. Kiriya goes to the rooftop and starts explaining that her body is more sensitive to heat than most people, which triggered a childhood memory of her stealing alone and Coach coming to invite her to play, but she refuses, saying the heat makes her twist. Coach then gets some ice and touches her face with his cold hand. Back to the present, she comments that she still remembers Coach's hands on her face and asks him why her reactions are always the opposite of how she feels. Coach then touches her face with his cold hands again, and she asks how his hands are so cold. He says he remembered to bring a bag full of ice. Coach then tells her what happened during the past few weeks when he disappeared, and they continue talking until she feels dizzy. In the infirmary, Coach ends up on top of her, trying to leave, but she holds him down and kicks him. On their way back to the dormitory, she walks her there, but he remembers the things and stops in front of the entrance. The another comedic situation happens, and he sees another girl coming out of there without clothes, complicating the situation even more.